Welcome back across Nevada to Ralston Reports. MGM Resorts tells Ralston Reports the company will be reimbursed by House of Blues for the $500,000 fine levied by state gaming control regulators. An extensive undercover investigation revealed House of Blues employees selling cocaine and ecstasy to the undercover agents and providing private rooms for sex. We invited MGM Resorts to join us, but the company declined. We also provided questions, which MGM declined for the most part to answer. Instead, we'll ask attorney and former Gaming Control Board member Jeff Silver. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you, John.
We'll talk about this banking issue a little bit later, but first, so there's sex and drugs inside a casino. I feel like we should be doing our Claude Rains imitations from Casablanca. What do you think?
Would never happen here.
Would never happen here. When you read this, I mean, you were on the Gaming Control Board back in the black and white TV days, as I recall. How were things different then than they are now?
When I first got on the gaming board, there was a complaint that was filed against the Sahara Hotel, which was owned by Del Webb at the time. And they were providing prostitutes or escorts for some of their high roller players.
No.
Yep, and they were caught at it. They had an account in the casino cage called transportation, and that's what they used to pay out the money that was paid to the ladies. Since that time, everyone in the casino industry knew that that was something that was prohibited by them. And when I was in the casino business myself back in 1980s, I told each of the people that worked in the casino that they couldn't have any referrals to ladies of the night. So.
But did it still go on? I mean, it still went on, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that you know, when you have an advertising campaign that says what stays in Vegas, what comes, you know, doesn't leave Las Vegas. That's really kind of a wink and a nod what they're talking about in some ways. But what happened is then the bell staff, the bellman, got involved in it, and what I said to everybody is that if you get caught, you're going to get fired. But everyone knew that that was something that was going on, and having girls go to the bars in the various hotels, the Caesars Nook, some of the other places where women sometimes find dates. That's something that's always been going on.
So when you said if you get caught, you're going to get fired, the subtext is don't get caught.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's just show people some of what went on at Mandalay Bay in the House of Blues, which, in case people don't know, is not owned by Mandalay Bay. They have a contractual relationship with them. Officers arraigned on August 17th and 18th in 2012 to arrange to purchase cocaine and mollies, which is a pure form of ecstasy pills, from different hosts and drink servers. In all, 10 House of Blues employees and at least 5 non-employees were alleged to have arranged to provide drugs or prostitutes for undercover officers, and most of those contacts occurred in public areas, including on the main level of the resort. So, as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Silver, so the casino company is going to say it's going to try to get reimbursed by the House of Blues, which is a separate entity, for these violations. I think some people might ask, why are they even allowed to do that? Is there a legal way to prevent them from doing it? Otherwise, if they can just make the House of Blues people pay $500,000, they're not going to worry about it too much, right?
Well, first of all, if you take a look at the club business in Nevada, 7 of the 10 top grossing clubs in the country are right here in this city. And
we were going to show people that, so thank you for preempting me. I appreciate that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go on. No, I'm kidding.
We should have discussed this first.
That's right. Why don't we just take a look at it since you brought it up, then we can talk about it, because this is really where I think the problem is. In most recent editions, 7 Vegas nightclubs, as you mentioned, cracked the top 10. Excess Nightclub at the Wynn was the top grossing club in 2013, raking in between, listen to this, folks, $90 and $95 million last year. Marquee at the Cosmopolitan came in second with $85 to $90 million. Tao Las Vegas third, bringing in $50 to $55 million. There is a huge amount of money to be made in these places, and there's stuff going on there probably in greater volume than's ever gone on in any concentrated place in a casino, right?
Right, and they've got a big investment in their facilities. They put $30–40 million in building these spaces out too. So there's a lot of money involved any way you look at it. And even with the bottle service being down from where it was in 2005, 2006, it still is a big business, and where you have a lot of money changing hands, greed can certainly be a big part of it. But in this particular case, though, it's a situation where I can argue both sides.
What does that mean?
I can argue that the clubs, for example, are not owned by the hotel. They're privately operated, and certainly the Gaming Control Board is responsible for regulating gambling and not being the moral police for this type of business. There are other agencies such as the Clark County Police, the Business License Department and the Metro Police Department that have responsibility for ferreting out drugs and prostitution, not the Gaming Control Board.
But there are regulations specifically, you know this as well as anybody, that are in the gaming reg code that talk about the integrity of the industry and morality and upholding the great standards, right? I mean, that could be applied here, no?
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's, you know, the public policy of gambling says health, safety, welfare, morals,
right.
Good order.
Yeah.
But the question is, some time ago we had the Gaming Control Board involved in advertising, as you recall, with the Hard Rock's advertising campaigns and so on.
Bobby Siller was upset about that. I remember.
He was, and we took the matter. I represented the Hard Rock Hotel.
Oh, was that right?
I took it before the Gaming Commission, and they said, no, you're not involved in that kind of business. But I had the First Amendment protecting the hotel at that point. There really isn't any kind of protection here when the Gaming Control Board joins forces with a police agency, finds that people are involved in the sales of drugs, and then files a complaint, which at the bottom of the complaint says, and this could be cause for the revocation of your licenses. I mean, this is the big time deal.
But is that really true, though, or is that just a paper tiger? I mean, do they just consider this the cost of doing business? Okay, we might get caught once in a while. We'll pay the fine, and there's a wink and a nod with the House of Blues. You're going to have to pay it. We're not really going to pay it. Is that how it works in these places?
Well, in some ways, you don't want to have put your property and your license at risk, and so it could be a cost of doing business. But the question is whether or not the casino industry is a big fat target. Certainly the clubs are a big fat target because they make a lot of money. The casinos have a lot of money. And is this a target of opportunity for enforcement actions? That's the other side of the coin that you have to argue. So we're looking at a situation where, you know, in this case, the employees of the Mandalay in particular, I mean in the club, House of Blues,
yeah.
They weren't employees of Mandalay.
Right.
The acts of sale went on in other remote places handled by people, some of whom weren't even employees of House of Blues.
Right.
So each one of these guys potentially was an independent contractor involved in the sale of drugs or the promotion of prostitution.
All right, we would take a break, Mr. Silver. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, a lot more to talk about, and we want you to talk about it too. Here's our question of the day for this Friday. Do you think gaming licensees are escaping responsibility for illegal activity in those clubs? Let us know what you think by answering the question of the day on our Ralston Reports Facebook page. And come right back, because we'll be right back.
And now, Ralston Reports.
Welcome back to Ralston Reports. What do you think about a bank in Nevada not really being a Nevada bank? Does it sound weird? We're going to talk about that in a little while. But first, we're talking to former gaming regulator Jeff Silver. He's now a very prominent attorney in Las Vegas about what happened over at Mandalay Bay, where they found, wait, drugs and sex, illegal sex, going on there inside the casino. Let me show you what MGM Resorts had to say, because we couldn't get anybody to come on with you. I think they were scared of being on with you, Mr. Silver. So we got a statement from them which says in parts, while these activities took place outside our knowledge, we acknowledge our responsibility as landlords to monitor all nightclubs and ultra lounge operators at our resorts. Our tenant, House of Blues Foundation Room, took appropriate and swift action in dealing with the situation, terminating the involved employees and ending relationships with third parties responsible for these wrongdoings. Okay. That's a very standard corporate kind of statement, right? I guess what I'm asking, there's a couple things I want to get into here. First of all, if you are a privileged licensee, that's the phrase we've heard for decades, right? Isn't it your responsibility to police these places that are on site, on the property where you were licensed? And isn't that becoming almost impossible in the atmosphere created in these nightclubs?
That's absolutely correct. I mean, you do have responsibility for what goes on in your establishment, and that's really what's happened here with the Mandalay Bay complaint. There's been a bulletin issued in 2006, one in 2009, one in 2012. The Gaming Control Board held training programs in 2012, telling everyone about the responsibility to make sure that there isn't drugs and sex and those kinds of illicit activities going on in the club. And those sessions were attended by Mandalay Bay personnel, according to the complaint. So everybody had fair warning. There's a number of the complaints. Mandalay Bay is not alone. There's at least 3 others before Mandalay Bay. The Palms, the Hard Rock, and the Rio all
Right.
had issues with respect to violations of this moral code. And
they're going to keep happening, are they not?
Absolutely, because you can't control behavior, and there are individuals involved. I think what made the Mandalay Bay complaint more egregious is the fact that there were so many people who were employed there, including security people, runners, hosts. It was almost like it was endemic in the operation. They didn't have control over their people.
What's also different, Mr. Silver, than when you were a gaming regulator is most of these companies now want to go into other jurisdictions and invest. And I'm just wondering if they have to think about that, and this being a black eye that they're going to have to explain when they go in front of gaming regulators in Illinois or New Jersey or across in Virginia or somewhere near Washington, D.C. They got to be thinking about that too, do they not?
Absolutely. Every jurisdiction has a report now on their desk that says that Mandalay Bay, MGM, paid a $500,000 fine for not being able to control activities on their property. And it's a bad situation because they may not investigate the entirety of this. They may have people involved in their regulatory groups that are more police-oriented and not like Nevada, where we grew up with gaming since 1931. And they're going to put more emphasis on it perhaps than they should.
We're going to take a break. We're really exploiting you tonight and all your knowledge. We're going to ask Mr. Silver about what's in a name with a bank. Apparently not very much. Stick around.